Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from the LaGrange Fire Department as well as the Troup County Parks and Recreation. But ladies and gentlemen, we're on the beautiful square in downtown LaGrange, so I hope that you'll stay tuned for my interviews in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West, and today we're on the beautiful downtown square in downtown LaGrange. We'll be hosting a series of these shows down here, so stay tuned for those shows. But today I have on from the LaGrange Fire Department, Lieutenant Caleb Harrison. Lieutenant, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with some of our EMT paramedics with the fire department. And before we get started, Caleb, tell them where you graduated from.
Graduated from Troup High School.
Troup High School. So all my LaGrange fans, Troup High and Troup High. Now, Caleb, you graduated from the one on Hamilton Road, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's right. And I graduated from the one, probably old enough to be your dad, on Whitesboro Road, the original Troup High School.
Yes, sir.
But it's good to sit down with a Troup graduate, though.
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, Caleb, let me before we get started, because we want to talk a little bit about the, some summer things that are coming up, and some ways that the viewing audience can keep themselves safe. But you are a trained EMT and paramedic. Talk about what that means as far as certifications are concerned.
Yes, sir. Well, the fire department in LaGrange, we have about 90% of our personnel are EMT certified. It means they've gone to school anywhere from 6 months to a year and become familiar with different medications and fluid resuscitation and IVs and things of that nature. And the paramedics, usually about a year to a year and a half school, where they get a little more in depth on the medications and a lot more advanced airway and cardiology and things like that. It's kind of the equivalent to a nurse, just out in the field instead of in a healthcare facility.
Okay, so, because a lot of times when we see on the uniforms, EMT, paramedic, most of the times they are able to go there and pick people out of the cars like they normally do if there's an accident. But, it's more in depth than that, because you were telling me also that you guys, like you say, put in trachs and administer medicines and all those things, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, good. And that's about 95% of our fire department is EMT, paramedic?
Yes, about 95% is EMT, and then we have about 30% that are paramedic right now.
Okay, very good. Because I know, and I guess sometimes, when the viewing audience may see or hear an accident, they'll see the fire trucks go.
Yes, sir.
And because you guys are first responders as well, and a lot of times the early intervention helps to save lives, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're very happy to have, all of you guys, trained there, because I know that you guys do a wonderful job in the things that you do. And also, I know that you are a lead instructor, too, for the recently held rookie school.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We just completed it. It's a 10-week school. We started it the beginning of March and just got through, getting ready to have the banquet now. But it's a very labor-intensive school. We get a lot of instructional hours packed into a short period of time, and the guys that went through it did a great job, and we're proud of them. They're part of us now, so you'll see them on the trucks around the county and the city and in West Point. Okay, well, very good. I have to ask the question. I still want to drive one of the fire trucks one day if y'all will let me do that. Yeah, come on by.
Come on by. Okay,
yes, sir.
All right then. Thanks so much. Well, let's get into what we want to talk about today, Caleb. I know that the summer's coming on. We are experiencing some pretty mild weather right now. We've had some rain days, which we're very thankful for. But as we move into the summer, the temperatures can start to climb a little bit. And we want to talk about how the viewing audience and those that are listening around the city can keep themselves safe from heat exhaustion and other things. What's the main thing, or what's the primary thing that you would like for people to understand about the heat?
Just know that a lot of times you can't get around working in the heat, but if you do have to work in the heat, try to take it just a little bit at a time. Maybe work for a couple hours and then cool down for a little while. If you know that you're going to be out in the heat the next day, try to prepare by taking in a little extra fluid that night, because what causes most of these problems is actual dehydration. And they get to where their body can't keep up with the demands that you're putting on it, and then it slowly starts to shut down, and then you start experiencing your heat cramps and heat exhaustion and ultimately heat stroke. So just kind of pace yourself. Don't go out there for 5 or 6 hours at a time and work in the direct heat. Try to just break it down and maybe spread it out a little more. Okay, very good.
And a lot of times, and I guess we're all kind of guilty of it, we get out and we start working, we have a project that we get started early in the morning time, and then as the morning progresses on, we don't realize that the body temperature is continuing to increase. Right. So those periodic breaks that you mentioned there, taking breaks, and then fluids, you mentioned that's so important, and these are just common sense things, taking in fluids. Now, when you talk about fluids, what do you suggest, Caleb?
Well, the water replenishes your body's fluid levels, but you also need electrolytes too. So we don't like to condone or, you know, any kind of sports drink, but Gatorade or Powerade, anything that contains electrolytes. What I do is alternate one water and one sports drink. That way you keep your electrolyte and your fluids the same. You don't get the high content of sugar that some of the sports drinks have, but it keeps everything nearly the same, and it seems to work real well.
Okay, well, very good. And again, these are just common sense things, working, you know, at a slower pace perhaps. And then how do, when we factor in age, does the age have anything to do, or I'm sure it does, but how does age factor into what you just talked about, Caleb?
Well, young children and the elderly are more susceptible to heat exhaustion just because their bodies can't regulate quite as well as they used to, or as well as they're going to be able to. So young children and the elderly are kind of a high potential for heat emergencies. You know, what we just ask you to do is, if you have young children, you know, make sure you keep an eye on them when they start getting their red flushed skin. Maybe let them take a little break, calm down, have a sip of water, you know, get in the cool for a little bit. And the elderly, the same thing. Once you start seeing them exhibit some signs of exhaustion, whether it's just profuse sweating or, you know, maybe mild delirium or confusion, just kind of get them to a cool place and let them take a little bit of water in, a little bit of sports drink, and just kind of regulate their body a little bit better.
All right, very good. Now you mentioned about heat cramps, exhaustion, and ultimately heat stroke. Talk about some of the symptoms and signs of cramps first of all, and then we're going to go up the progression there, Caleb.
Okay. All right, heat cramps are probably the most common heat emergencies that we see. It can either be a dull, diffuse pain in one area of the body or sharp pains in the body. It's just from working and overexertion, and your body's trying to keep up with the demands and it can't quite do it. They're not really a true emergency. You can treat them at home and everything will be fine. What we like to tell people is that, you know, just keep increasing your fluid intake, and the body can consume a lot of fluid at a time, but it can only process 8 to 12 ounces at a time.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that. They'll grab a 32-ounce Gatorade and drink it real quick. Well, 8 to 12 ounces is going to your circulation, and the rest of it's going through your kidneys and going straight out, so it's not really helping. So small drinks throughout the day will help limit the heat cramps and the exposure to the heat. With the heat exhaustion, that's the next level up. It's once you get past the cramping phase and it's profuse sweating. It can be accompanied by dizziness or confusion, and even in severe cases of heat exhaustion, some nausea and vomiting. It also can be treated at home if you treat it properly. Move them to a cool area, get them out of that hot environment. Try to increase their fluid intake. You know, maybe blow a fan across their body, because the body cools itself by sweating, and then the sweat evaporates and it helps cool the body. If you can't hold down the fluid because of the nausea and vomiting, then it's getting close to borderline to being an emergency and needing some professional help. Okay.
Let me ask a question, Caleb. You were talking about in the cramps. You know, athletes, you know, a lot of times they want to take in salt.
Yes.
Do you recommend getting some amount of salt in if you feel that you're cramping?
Unless you've really done some research on it and seen how your body's going to react to it, I wouldn't recommend just taking in the salt. A lot of the athletes do it because they know exactly how their body's tuned and how it's going to work. That's the deal with the sports drink. It has the sodium and the potassium in it. It's got the right concentrations of it, so you can take it in and don't have to worry about actually calculating how much sodium and potassium your body's going to use. That's why we like to say one sports drink and one water.
Okay, very good. And then as you were talking about also the heat exhaustion, again, profusely sweating, and then of course you want to blow the fan across the body, and some other things, symptoms that they might look for as far as exhaustion is concerned.
You could have red flushed skin, or what they call a heat rash. You see a lot of times in children. Their skin will be red and have little raised bumps, and that's a sign of heat exhaustion as well. Okay, all right.
And I guess some of the same things you could fan across the body, maybe a little water splash on. Sir. Is that okay? Very good. And then the ultimate one that we wanted our viewing audience to be aware is the heat stroke. Right. Talk a little bit about that for us, Caleb.
The heat stroke is an actual stroke. It's a true emergency that needs professional help as soon as you can get it. It's when you have the heat exhaustion to the point where your body stops sweating. It can't regulate its thermal balance anymore, and you quit sweating. You pass out, have seizures. It acts as an actual stroke, and it can result in death. What we want people to do is be able to catch these heat emergencies before it progresses to stroke or even exhaustion, really. But the heat stroke, if you see anyone that, you know, is working out in the heat and all of a sudden they go down and maybe pass out, then it's time to call 911 and get some help there as quick as possible.
Okay, all right.
But the main sign is just the absence of sweat. If someone's working and they're, you know, really sweating good, and all of a sudden they're not sweating anymore and they get a little confused and you're right on the edge, so it's time to get a little help then.
Okay, well, very good. And I know that, you know, throughout the summer, you know, the police department, fire department have the check on, you know, the kind of "are you okay" type things like
Yes,
that. Even, you know, we talking primarily outdoors. You know, sometimes some of our elderly can be indoors and can experience these things as well. Is that correct?
That is true, yes, sir.
So basically, again, we want to, you know, continue the "are you okay" and, you know, the fans and things of that nature,
Yes,
kind of
sir.
help keep the body temperature down and everything. Well, Caleb, I want to thank you for coming on this morning
Oh, yes, sir.
to share this information. I know that we'll get an opportunity to sit down again, hopefully not to talk about anyone that have actually experienced one of these, but as a preventative method that we like to offer to our viewing audience to keep themselves safe. So, Caleb, I want to thank you very much for coming on this morning and sharing
yes,
this
sir. It's a
information with
pleasure.
us. And hopefully I can get you back on as we can talk a little bit about rookie school. How about that?
All right, that'll work.
All right,
Thank you.
well, great. Thank you very much, Caleb.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have guests on from the Troup County Parks and Recreation. I have on Patrick Duffy, who is the Assistant Facilities Manager, and also I have on Daryl Hosey, who is the Recreational Athletic Program Specialist. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you guys, we're gonna have to just kind of speak over the noise because we're in the downtown beautiful LaGrange Square.
Okay.
But I know that you guys have a lot of information that's coming up that's gonna be very, very important to our young people and some of us adults as well about things that are happening at the Troup County Parks and Recreation. Patrick, as the facilities manager, what is your primary goal?
To provide a pretty much safe environment for kids to come inside, especially when the heat of the summer starts blazing in, or the cold days of winter. We get the kids coming in, hanging out, having a good time. Providing activities not only for the youth of town, but also for some of the adults. We have a tremendous ladies program that's taken off, and yeah, it's pretty much just hanging out, being one of the kids, hanging out with the people of Troup County.
Cool place to be, right?
Oh, absolutely, love it every day.
Well, you know, we just had Caleb on talking about heat exhaustion. I heard you say
Yeah.
in the cool. So exactly, you know, hopefully some of the young people will take advantage of that because I know there's, you know, skateboarding in there and basketball.
Yeah, we've got the roller skating rink. We've got an indoor swimming pool that's nice and cool in the wintertime, and it's heated during the winter, summer months.
Okay.
Or vice versa. That let's do
Okay.
that other way around.
Oh, all right, very good.
So yeah, it's pretty fun. Have a good
Okay.
time up there.
Well, you know, I pass by there every day, and I see, and I'm thankful that it's being utilized to the capacity it is,
Yeah.
because you always see cars out there. We're going to get in and talk a little bit about some of those programs that you are offering in just a moment. But Daryl, also now you are the Recreation Athletic Program Specialist. Talk about what your role is there at the Parks and Recreation.
Well, basically, athletically, I run all of the little kids programs, the 4 through 8 year olds. That's flag football, basketball, and of course baseball. And of course, coming up through the summer is going to be summer lunch program.
Okay, very good. You know, again, we have a number of programs to kind of keep our kids engaged and, off of the streets and, in a safe environment that you mentioned just a moment ago, Patrick. And as we know, school let out last week.
Right.
When will you see that big wave of young folks come in?
Oh man, for us at the rec center, we'll see it. I mean, they were here day one. Day one, they're knocking down the doors, wanting to play basketball, jump in the swimming pool, that kind of stuff. But I think the big wave will hit June 4th when most of our programs kick off.
Okay.
So that's when the big push comes in. That's when most of the kids have kind of settled down. Graduations are over, those kind of things. So yeah.
Well, good, good. And again, we just want our young folks to know that you all are there. Again, the safe environment that you care, and there's a number of programs that they can take part in. Let me just jump into a few of those. And, I go by there and see this, see some of the gentlemen out there. First Tee. Talk about that one for us a little bit, Patrick.
Michelle Griffith is over our First Tee program. And basically it's a free program for children of Troup County between the ages of 8 and 18. We've built a small par 3 golf course that's in the back. Basically, they work on different aspects of life. They teach them life skills, while at the same time teaching them how to play golf. It's a fantastic program. Michelle's done a fantastic job with it, just really taking it, run with it. We're now offering memberships down there at the First Tee course. If you're interested in joining, playing, getting out and walking the course, it's I think it's like $20 a month, something like that. All the golf you can stand, so it's great. It's really a great value. She's also offering a summer golf camp that's like $20 for a week. So, I mean, she's just doing a dynamic job down there. She really is.
Very good. You know, I've been saying I want to come out there. And I think around the first tee, you guys have a walking trail. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just shy of a mile. Goes around the first tee course. We got a lake back there that you can kind of walk around. Covers the Harris baseball complex, that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's nice, secluded, kind of quiet. It's kind of funny because we're like right off of Lafayette Parkway, and you wouldn't even know you're back there.
Absolutely. And it's open to the public,
yeah,
correct?
Open to the public.
Open to the public.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. Darryl, let's talk a little bit about some of the summer programs, lunch programs,
Okay.
And talk about some of the sites that you all will be set up at.
Okay, well, we'll set up various sites around the city and the county. As a matter of fact, and we do have locations in Hogansville and in West Point, as I said before. And for example, for a few, we'll have like Lindsay Street. We'll have a site there, William Griggs Recreation Center. And we're also trying to reach out into some of the apartment complexes. So this year will be a new one. We'll have a site at Glenwood Apartments. And we're also trying to get at Mallard Lakes. That's a new one for us. Laurel Ridge, that's one complex that we've been involved in for a couple of years.
Okay.
So those are some of the sites that, you know, that's pretty much going to be new for us. And we hope to have a lot of kids come out and hopefully, you know, have a good time, and they will be supervised, and the parents won't have to worry about it. You know, if they want to run out, go to the mall or something, you know, they can come by, because we will be operating from 9 to 1.
Okay.
You know, about the time the heat comes in, then we can go ahead to the rec center and get them to swim.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good. So you got a plan there, don't you, Darryl?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It gets them all wound up outside, then sends them
Bring them
indoors.
to you.
That's a good plan. That's
Sound
a
like
good
a
plan.
plan.
And see, we'll have a site close to the building at George Harris Harris Baseball Complex. So, you know, we're trying to venture out and make sure that we, you know, cover everybody as much as we can.
Well, very good. And you know, you were saying that the sites are set up in the communities and stuff.
Absolutely.
Because I know that sometimes, you know, the viewing audience say, well, you know, the recreation is in a great location, but it's kind of hard to get to it. But by going into the communities, it cuts out the need for transportation.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
Absolutely.
very good. Very
so
good.
we try to get those areas where, you know, it's very local. You know, kids can ride their bikes, like I said, or they can walk, or, you know, parents can drop them off and those kinds of things. So they're not just so far, you know, out of whatever. So we try to have enough sites, so, you know, so we can kind of spread it around a little bit.
Okay, well, very good. And you know, I back in my police days, I can remember going around to some of the sites,
Right.
And I can tell you, the kids will be wound up.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely about that. Well, let's talk about now. We're talking a little bit about programs for kids now, but you also have programs for adults, and there's a couple of things that you all offer. I know swim classes.
We do. We have youth and we have adult swim lessons. Coach Tom Frankel, he's from South Africa. Man, is a dynamic guy. Got a crazy accent, so it's kind of fun being around him. Really loves people, and really enjoys that. So he's teaching youth in the evening time, and then the very last class of the night is geared towards adults. So adults in Troup County that don't know how to swim. You know, we've got a lake out here. You know, most of the people have backyard pools, you know, being here in the South. So it's kind of it's a safety thing. You know, we really want the adults to be able to swim. So if their kids, you know, will want to learn how to swim and be safe. So it's a good program. Tom does a great job. He also coaches some triathletes, guys that are doing run bikes and swims. You know, get them in the swimming pool, swimming laps, getting that distance in. Just a fantastic coach, really is.
Well, very good. And the cost for adults, Patrick?
It's $45, and they give you 6 sessions in the evening time.
Okay.
Like I said, it's indoors, so we're there, rain and shine. You know, don't have to worry about getting rained out of the indoor swim lessons. That's nice.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed that also there's a Sheriff Academy. Darryl, can you speak about that? That's something geared for our young folks.
Absolutely. The Sheriff's Academy is a camp that's been going on, you know, for some years now, and they serve the kids from age 9 to 12, and that's a $40 fee, and they have two sessions of the Sheriff's Academy camp. It's the 9 to 11-year-olds and 11 to 12-year-olds, and they have 2 different weeks that they run the camp. The first week is July the 9th through the 13th, and then the 16th through the 20th is the second week. Yeah.
All right, well, very good. And again, and I guess that's the equivalent. I remember during the summer, I used to do the team CPA, the LaGrange Police Department, so they get an opportunity to learn about the Sheriff Department.
Absolutely. Some of the day-to-day activities and routines of the Sheriff Department, booking, they get a chance to see the K-9 unit and things like that. So you know, and firearm safety is one of the main issues, not only locally, but a national issue. So I think, you know, those are real good things for our teens to get involved with.
Absolutely. You know, you can't speak enough about firearm safety with the summer coming in, and, you know,
parents not being there.
Parents not home.
Exactly.
Kids being curious about, you know, a weapon.
Yeah,
exactly.
The main thing is they have to realize, you know what I'm saying, it's not a toy.
Not a toy.
I mean, it could take a life
Absolutely.
immediately.
Exactly.
So we definitely look forward to that coming up as well. Now, I noticed that there's some new programs that you were telling me about, Patrick, and this one, belly dancing.
Belly dancing, yeah. Dawn Gwynn is our instructor. She's actually been there for a long time.
Okay.
She's been there longer than I have.
Right.
And but she is doing great. Those group of ladies right there have become not just a group of ladies that come in, learn a little exercise program, but they have collectively become a family. We've had some, you know, hard times hit some of those ladies, and to see them rally around each other is just absolutely incredible. They meet up there on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 6. It's like $5 a class, and they go and they travel. They go do dinners together. They go on vacations together. Man, they just absolutely have just a great time.
Okay, and to get a little belly dancing in
and
too.
get some belly dancing in, right?
Do they have a viewing audience that can come out and watch?
It's not a spectator sport.
Oh, it's not? Oh,
No,
okay.
belly dancing is not a spectator sport.
All right, just asking. Okay, all right. Now, I know that, you know, the summer's coming in, the kids are all excited, but they also, they need to be gearing up for fall registration too for the various sporting events. Talk a little bit about that for us, if you don't mind, Pat.
Well, you know, this year is kind of different. We're starting it a little bit earlier than we normally do to kind of give people a chance to get more active, more involved, plugged into our fall registration. We're going to kick off in July 30th, and we're going to try and stretch it all the way out till August 10th. Okay. I mean, that's going to be kind of I know that sounds kind of a weird time because kids start school on the 8th, so, you know, it's a big push for us. The school's doing a great job working with us this year, letting us get our information sheet in to the registration packet. So that's going to help us out as far as getting the word out. And then we're going to kind of play it by ear around the 10th and see if we're going to extend it, you know, to another week.
Okay.
But we will start a late registration that following Saturday on the 11th. There's a $10 late fee coming in at that period. But, you know, we play it by ear and see how registration looks as to whether or not that $10 fee gets charged on or not. So. Come early.
That's it.
Come early.
And avoid it, right?
Avoid the crowds.
Absolutely. All right. Now, there's a couple of events we always look forward to. Darren, if you don't mind, just the 4th of July parade that will be coming up, July 4th, of course. Talk about that and how people can get involved with that.
Okay, the 4th of July parade, it will be on the 4th of July, which is that Wednesday. And the parade will be here. I think it starts at 10, if I'm not mistaken. And and I think that we have the entries down at the rec center. If anybody's interested in, you know, putting the float in or whatever, you know, it's non-motorized, and you know, it's always 19 and younger, that group. So and then following that would be the fireworks at Pine Road Park, like we normally do every year.
Okay, very good. And you know, I know that, you know, the boats out on the water.
Yeah,
that's always
absolutely.
We got a live band coming. Band Rustic Charlie's going to be there. Kind of a cover band. They play everything from Brown Eyed Girl to John Mayer. I mean, they play all kind of good stuff. Okay. They're actually downtown Cinco de Mayo weekend. Yeah, and played downtown here, so they'll be out there. All
right. Now, I know that a lot of times, you know, for the Pine Road Park and the fireworks, is there a charge? I know that once upon a time there was like a per car charge.
Yeah,
something to that
it's I think it's $10 a car. Is that right?
I think so.
I think so. $10 a car. So pack as many people as you can.
Get in the car, right.
You know, as long as everybody's got a seatbelt, of course.
Okay.
And then you know, get them in that way.
Okay. All right. We'll do the clown. We'll just park them in there.
Right. A little car with like 20 people in it.
There you go. All right. As we get ready to wrap up, I know that there's some karate classes that are being offered through the Parks and Rec as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, Master Young, Robert Young, has taken that program, and it has steadily grown each month. I think, you know, a couple months back we were probably around the 23, you know, mark on kids, and I think he's up to 45 kids now. They, you know, compete, they go around, they travel, and go to different sparring events, karate tournaments, those kind of things. I think Philip Sledge's son's involved in it, so that's kind of neat. I know he's one of y'all's guys.
Right.
But yeah, they do a great job. We've got tons of trophies in the rec center now because of them. And Toby, not only does he work on the karate aspect of things, but he really makes sure that they're obeying their mom and dad. You know, they're learning the disciplines of life. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Teaching them levels of respect. You know, he's also holding them accountable to their chores at home. You know, making them do push-ups if they ever bad report from mom and dad are on that report card, you know. So he's kind of stepped in, been you know, a little bit of a disciplinarian because he doesn't have to go home with the kids, you know.
That's good.
So yeah, he has a good time.
Well, very good. Now, as we close out, Patrick, we talk a lot about all the programs. Talk about memberships for families or individuals through the Troup County Parks and Rec.
You know, we're very fortunate to have the support of Troup County. You know, the Mike Daniel Recreation Center is supported by the SPLOST, you know, those kind of things that helped us get those facilities built. And, you know, property tax and everything. So we're very, very fortunate to have extremely low fees across the board. You know, to go participate in a tackle football program that's $50, or a cheerleading program that's $50, or a baseball program that's $50. I mean, I know it sounds steep, but when you look around the surrounding areas, I mean, we're half to a third the cost of a lot of programs. Okay. And the same thing kind of transcends into the Mike Daniel Recreation Center. I mean, a single person can have a single membership for a year, $65. We've got family memberships for four, $125, and that's 365 days. That's not, you know, it doesn't mean you start in March and it ends in December.
Right.
You know, that's March to March, you know. So, and it gives them access to, you know, we got 2 full-size basketball courts. We just got 3 brand new treadmills in. We've got, you know, ellipticals, a weight set. You know, we've got an indoor swimming pool, of course. So, I mean, it's bang for the buck. I mean, you're looking at, what, $5 a month for an, you know, an individual?
Absolutely.
And we're open 7 days a week. So it's really tough to beat.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank both of you all for coming in on the show today and sharing this wealth of information, and just ask that our young folks and the older folks get out and take full advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you both, gentlemen.
Thanks, Al.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining for this week for City Week. My guests have been from the LaGrange Fire Department, Lieutenant Caleb Harrison, who gave us some very important tips on being aware of heat stroke and symptoms of heat stroke. So by all means, we want to make sure that we keep ourselves cool during the hot summer days. And also I had on from the Troup County Parks and Recreation Department, Patrick Duffy and also Darryl Hosey, and they talked about the number of programs that are being offered throughout the summer. So we want to invite all of our young people, our middle-aged people, and also our elderly, seniors, to come out and take full advantage of all the programs that are offered by the Troup County Parks and Recreation. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews this week. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.